All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Word with Ty Brownlow. I am your host, Ty Brownlow, and remember, no one is worthless. No story is worthless. Today, ladies and gentlemen, I have a very special guest for you. Give you a couple of words about my guest. Culture, truth, healing. All the way from Toronto, Canada. Please put your hands together for Miss Jenelle Simpson. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I am great. Once again, please, man, I welcome you to my platform. I am so happy to have you on today. As you heard some of the words I used, culture, truth, healing. Miss Jenelle Simpson is an author, first-time author, but you know, this book, I'm just going to tell you, I've read some of the details and, you know, some of the things behind the book, and we're going to talk about that. But let's just talk about the book itself. The name of the book is called Commitment to a Deceitful Liar. First and foremost, bravo for the title. Okay, I'm like, ooh, intriguing. So can you tell us a little bit about this?
So I know a lot of people have heard the name Commitment to a Deceitful Liar, and they're like, it's a relationship book. It's not a relationship book. It talks about all aspects of life, right? Mm-hmm. I've learned in life that we stay committed to lies from a very young age. Like, for example, me, every time my stepdad talked about sex, he would be like, don't go out there and have no sex, you know? Sorry, I had to add a little bit of my patois because that's how he speaks.
Oh,
he said, you know, don't have no sex. All boys want from you is sex. And if you get pregnant, your life is ruined. Right. So he always instilled that fear in me not to have sex because boys don't want nothing else from you. They're not going to settle down with you. They'll have the baby and then they'll just leave. And I held on to that lie thinking that every guy that looks at me, all you want is sex. So I carried that lie with me throughout my adult life. Right. How many times have you heard people say strippers are nasty? Or pardon my language, but they say strippers are whores, right?
Yes.
But they don't know that somebody brought that female into that lifestyle, or that's just what they like to do. They love to dance, right? Or they just don't see themselves doing anything else because they don't know that they can do anything else or they're any better, right? So we carry these lies that we hear from so young. Oh, drug dealers are this. You automatically start judging the drug dealer, but you don't know his lifestyle or why he's doing that, or what circumstance he's facing in his life. So automatically, even if a guy who's walked that life wanted to become a business owner or look for a job, they're already locked down because they're like, okay, people are going to judge me. They're going to say, well, you're coming from a drug dealer lifestyle, so what? Or for me, being raped by my uncle, right?
Okay.
I believe that if I came out and said it, people were going to start saying, ew, that's nasty. How could she let that happen? So I stayed, I kept quiet about it and I never talked about it with anybody because people assume and judge and then they transfer all those things that they were taught by their family and friends, and they don't open their horizon to, there's so many different meters and so many different things in life, but we're closed off to accepting it because from a young age, we're taught this, we're taught that, so we carry it with us. All the way to adulthood, and we pass it on to our children, right?
That is so true. So true.
So the book talks about forgiveness, learning to forgive. Forgiving is so hard, but how do you forgive if you can't put yourself in that person's shoe and understand why they did it? Put yourself in that role and try to understand and communicate with the person. Why did you hurt me that way?
Right.
And then deal with yourself. Why are you so hurt by what they did? Right? Or in relationships, a lot of times you hear women say, well, if a guy cheats on me, I'm just going to leave him. I'm not putting up with that.
Right.
I'm not, obviously, I was of no value to him.
True. Oh my God. That is, yes.
For me, everything that I feared in life, it's like God made me face them. Like he made them happen in my life. So I overcome those fears. I was afraid of possibly dating a guy that has a baby on me. What am I going to do? Or I used to be like, oh, if a guy cheats on me, I'm going to leave too. But when I was the person that was going through that, I didn't know how to deal with it. Right? So it talks about how I learned to deal with that. How did I learn to forgive and grow with the person that hurt me?
Look here, let me tell you something right now. How to forgive and grow with the person that hurt you.
Yeah.
Ms. Jenelle Simpson, you are onto something right now, let me tell you, okay? Because, you know, everything you just talked about, you know, and I want to talk about it. The PTSD of lies. You just hit it on like a few aspects of that, but, you know, I can just, you know, speak from my own experiences growing up. You know, right. About, and even till this day, there are like certain things within like the African American community here in the United States that these stereotypes just ring true. And for whatever reason, I don't know why, but you know, when it comes to like, you know, African American men, if you have a little bit of money or a little bit of success, you know, don't go down there and, you know, date that type of woman. You want to date this type of woman because they don't want anything from you but your money. It's not always true, you know, and everybody's different. And, you know, trying to like shape that PTSD, because as you said, you know, it was ingrained in you at an early age. Oh, all boys want is this. They just want this from you. So, you know, it makes it difficult for you to have a social aspect with, you know, males, even at school, on the like, you know, smallest of like social scales, even like saying hello. Oh, he wants something from me. Why he's saying hello? You know, he's asking to borrow my pencil or a piece of paper. Why is he asking me, you know, for that? You know what I'm saying? He must want something else from me. Know? And it will keep you in this constant state of anxiety that, as you said, carries on into like your teenage years and then into your adult years. And then you just find yourself one day like, hey, hopefully you find yourself one day like, hey, you know what? Maybe I need to take a step back because, you know, man, every time I've said something or every time I thought this or what have you, it's always been the opposite. Maybe what I've been taught isn't correct. And, you know, it's hard for us, you know, definitely as children to come to that realization. But even like as an adult, it's like, you know, okay, so everything I learned was a lie. How do I learn that? You know, what is real? What is not real? Because if everything I've learned has been a lie, like, how do I really tell how do I really know the truth if all I've been told all my life are lies? Right. So, yeah, that's pretty deep. That's pretty deep.
Within the Black community, our communication skills are very poor.
Oh, horrible.
We're so quick to attack and assume rather than just, you know, fall back for a bit and collect your thoughts and then go back to the person and have a conversation.
Well, I mean, everything these days is more on shock value, you know. Early in the morning, as soon as you get up, you grab your phone, you scroll through your phone. For me personally, it's about music, shoes, and maybe, you know, something going on in the world, maybe. Positive. But for a lot of people, they're going to scroll to something negative to like jumpstart their day. And that's, I mean, like, you have to think about the psychology of that. Like, you're like seeking out the negative, you know, instead of like trying to instill positivity. So,
and why are you seeking out the negative?
Because that's
It's something that you really have to figure out. Why are you seeking out the negative rather than the positive?
Wow. Okay. See? We're having psychology, y'all. We having psychology today, people. Okay. Check it out. Now, your background is much different than my background because you grew up in the West Indian culture, correct?
Right.
But as I was reading some of the, you know, tidbits in your bio, like everything in your bio sounded exactly like, you know, my time growing up in the South, or I know who have grown up in the South here in the States, where, you know, you're fighting the lies, you're fighting colorisms and all this, and, you know, you're fighting like the community that you're in because it's like you're trying to get out, but, you know, you don't want to, like, I don't know, like, you don't want to shame the people, you know, that you come from, you know, trying to like escape that, but you're not trying to live that life. You're not trying to have that mind state. So can you talk a little bit about, you know, your upbringing in the West Indian culture and how, you know, for those of us who have no idea how like all that relates to the book?
So growing up in West, I was born in Jamaica. Jamaica. Yeah, I migrated to Canada when I was very young, when I was 5 years old. So it's very different in Jamaican culture. Very close knit, but also don't get too close to me because you can't trust this person. Be careful of that person. And the Jamaican culture, West Indian culture, I would like to say, because other West Indian cultures like Trinidad, Barbados, you will hear it a lot. They say, don't trust this person. Yeah, don't eat from this person. They might up you. And up is such a thing that's instilled in West Indian children from very young. So they have a very hard time trusting people, right? So for me, my grandma was very protective of us. Like, we have family members where we didn't talk to them or stayed away from them because they believe that they're protecting us, but really you're doing more harm. Because whatever you and that family member had, that's okay, you had it. But let me get to have a relationship with them and get to know them for myself. Because I'm just treating these people based off of how you and them had your relationship. It had nothing to do with me, right?
That's true.
So, and because we're also a close-knit family, opening up about certain things was very hard for me. Because they didn't want to accept it, even though they knew it was true. And then it breaks the whole family apart because everybody started to like stay away from Maxine's children. Because remember, Maxine's daughter said this about your uncle, and it's not true, right? So growing up in the West Indian home was very, 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 very strict. Very strict. There was no love. Like, affection wasn't showed very much, right? I could probably count how many times I heard my mom say, I love you. My dad, I have never heard him say I love you before. Like, I came off the phone with him and he said love, but never I love you.
Right.
It was almost like we're just living a routine. No affection, no teaching us how to love, how to trust each other, how to embrace each other, you know? And the Christianity was shoved down our throats so much. Read your Bible, do this, do that.
Yeah.
But then again, you're so judgmental. So.
Well, as I said, a lot in your bio sounds a lot like, you know, the South of the United States, and especially for those of us who are African American that grew up in the South, or, you know, that's where our like ancestry comes from. You know, the Great Migration, what have you, you know, when people left the South and to go to, you know, the West Coast, East Coast, up north, or what have you. But I can definitely point out a ton of similarities. Basically, anytime something tragic happened, they wanted us to pray it away.
Right.
You know, like, oh no, let's not talk about it, let's pray about it.
Right.
But you never really speak on it or really talk about what the real issue is, and it still appears, and it still festers, and it transforms or manifests itself into different aspects throughout your life, not just for the time being, but throughout your life. You know, like as far as like not trusting or, you know, staying away. You know, I talk a lot about therapy in the Black community, how it's so, or how at one point it was definitely taboo. As I said, you were supposed to go to church and pray it away. Don't speak about your feelings. You speaking about your feelings? No.
Right.
And you definitely don't tell our business outside this house.
Exactly. That was one of the biggest things. Whatever happens in here stays in here.
It stays in here. You don't tell anyone. I don't care. Come on.
If you can tell anybody, how do you get help? Right? You're carrying that pain and brokenness with you. And then you're transferring it onto other people. Your children, your partner.
Yeah, and you know, it makes, well, as I said before, the PTSD of lies from like the social aspect, as you go throughout life, you have these beliefs in your head. So, you know, step one, you're already fighting everything in society as it is, okay? Because of the beliefs that have been implanted in you versus everything that you go through on an everyday social basis. Because in some families, you know, and you know this to be true, just like I know this to be true, certain families, they believe everybody else is wrong. They're the only right people in the world.
The ones that are right.
They're the only ones that are. I'm like, really? So you're the only. So only you know the answers. No one knows the right. Yeah. Wow, yeah. That's amazing. You know what? You must be like a superhero mutant, or you know, have these special powers.
Right.
But judgmental. Let's speak on it now. You know, even when it comes to family, you know, and jealousy, and like you said, sometimes, you know, a past relationship with, you know, a relative can, you know, prohibit you from having a relationship with that relative that could be very beneficial to you. Because I've seen cases where in families where two siblings or what have you, relatives were arguing, or, you know, they had this rival, and one sibling, man, could have helped out the other sibling's child because of the field that they wanted to go into. But because their parent was so stubborn and, you know, had all this animosity towards their other sibling, they totally cut that off.
Yep, they did. Yep. Yep.
And that's like the things we really don't talk about. But when we talk about it, sometimes when we address those issues, and you know this to be true too, the elders always say what? Oh, no, quiet.
Yeah, don't say anything. Right. Just leave it alone.
Just leave it alone.
Yeah, just leave it alone.
And then, you know, when you take up the attitude or, you know, the belief of the people who have been implanting these things within you, sometimes, and I know this to be true, sometimes the people who have implanted the idea will lash out against you.
Yes.
I've seen that. I'm like, well, but they got that from you, but you don't want them to do what you taught them to do, or the things that you've said to them, that you really thought about what you were saying in front of them, but they carry these ideas and you know, these notions. And when they start to present these attitudes, now it's a problem.
Exactly.
But it's the same thing.
When they demonstrate those things and now your children are following those things, you're like, why are you doing that? You demonstrated it to me. When I was growing up, you and your sister weren't speaking. Your malice to your sister, you wouldn't answer her calls. And now I'm doing the same thing in turn to my brother and sister, because that's what you taught me.
That's what
you never taught me how to resolve problems. But now you're upset at me because me and my brother aren't speaking.
Right.
So
right.
The hypocritical, really.
well, I mean, but look, commitment to a deceitful liar. Like, that speaks on, oh my God, that speaks on so many levels. So many levels, because we're talking about lies. All right. Lies. Not like physical action. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not physical. You're not getting beat. You're not getting pushed. You know, lies.
Yeah, lies that we carry. And, you know, so for example, my children, when we moved into this neighborhood, for some reason, just all the kids just rushed over here. Every kid is in my backyard every day from the whole entire neighborhood. And we got to talk about race, because the book talks about race too. Right? Okay. Not to be racist or anything, but, you know, black and white. You know, there's so much hate in this world.
True.
So much hate. And I don't understand why we can't learn to extend love and break these things that our ancestors carried for so many years. Why are we still passing it on to our children. Right? So there's this little boy, he's white, and I came home one day and my son said, can he come inside? And I said, he can come inside, wait till I get back home, because I want to know who his mother is first. I don't want to bring somebody else's child, especially with what's going on in this world right now. You got to be careful, right? So I come home and he's here and he's playing video games, so polite, so polite. And his mom picked him up after, and then she messaged us the next day asking if Rashawn and Leah can come over for dinner. And I'm like, really? Right? So I'm like, okay, no problem. But me, when I have them over, I'll order food, because I don't know, like, I can cook, you know, but I don't know if, you know, I have to ask the parents, are your children allergic to anything, or
right,
do they not eat certain things, right?
Right.
So usually I order food, but then she messaged me and she's like, hey, I'm gonna walk over for the kids soon. I'm just starting to cook dinner. So I paused for a minute and I'm like, she's not ordering dinner, she's cooking. You know what I mean? So I like, for a second, I called her dad and I'm like, you know, Elijah's mom invited me for dinner, but she's cooking. Is that okay with you? And I'm telling you, when you read the book, you will see my second book. My second book's called Lips of Truth.
Ooh, okay.
And it talks about transitioning, because the way he was, you would never believe that he's the person he is today. So he snapped me out of it. He said, listen, our parents raised us like that. Remember, we used to be raised in the West Indian home, Jamaican culture, where they're like, oh, no eat from nobody. Be careful of people. And he's like, listen, let the kids go. If they don't like the food, that's fine. But they know how to conduct themselves. So right there, we remember that we're breaking cycles and we're not repeating the same thing that our parents taught us. We're allowing our kids to embrace their friends, love their friends, and accept things from their friends, but smart enough to know when something's wrong, right? So they enjoyed the dinner. They came home like, oh my God, it tasted good. But I also went over there to go get them. And she's like, come inside, have a glass of wine. And I was there for 2 hours. So, you know, there's so much going on with culture of Black people, white people. People are amazing. We give out hate because we don't understand. Right? So a lot of people see Black people, they start judging because they're afraid, because they could have had a bad experience with a Black person, and they're like, oh my God, I gotta put up this wall now because all of them are like that. But
That's true. Hey, look.
The book talks about taking down your walls and getting to know people, because we're not all the same. And we gotta be open to receiving new things, new cycles, new mindsets.
And turn off the TV.
And turn off the damn TV.
Please.
You're right.
Turn off the TV. You know what? Put this down.
No, seriously.
well, I mean, I'm not going to throw that.
But it's true. Like my kids sometimes like turn off the game. And my daughter, she's so, I don't know if it's because she watched so many shows, but she loves family. Everything is, if her dad does something to me, Daddy, you didn't apologize to mommy yet. You have to apologize to mommy and kiss her on the cheek, because that's what we do. Right? You got to instill new things. Like I always say to him, if we argue in front of the kids, we're solving it in front of them, because all they're going to see is that we argued yesterday and now everything's back to, but they don't understand, how did everything get back to, how are you guys friends again? How's everything solved? So we sit and we say, you know what? We had a little argument. We spoke about it. You know, Daddy spoke to mommy wrong and I didn't like it. I overreacted, and we're apologizing in front of you guys because we want to teach you guys how to solve problems.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So the book, it's so deep. And when people ask me what it's about, I'm like, it's so deep. I don't know one topic to hit on because it talks about so much. And then Lips of Truth is like a light where I talk about like going through abusive relationship. And then learning to forgive that person, because you were raised in a home with, you saw abuse all around you. Everything was abuse, verbal abuse, physical abuse. You were getting abused. Then you saw your dad. Certain traits that you saw in your household, you expected from me, not realizing that was just something instilled, ignorant, instilled in your father's brain. And you're trying to break, and now in turn, you're teaching your father a different way. They're never too old to learn.
You're never too old to learn.
Never too old to learn.
Look.
And never too old to break generational cycles. There's so many cycles that us as a Black culture, we're trying to break, and we're struggling. because there's nobody really helping us and teaching us how to break those cycles.
You know, one thing I'm learning, you know, personally, one thing I'm learning is how people accept things, you know, and how long it takes them to like either A, change their mind about it, or
Right.
B, it's just going to be this way until it just isn't anymore, but it's just going to be this way. And I've learned, you know, we're talking about generation and generational, you know, and sometimes the older generations put it into, you know, our parents' head that, you know, you have to raise your child this way, you have to do this, you have to talk this way, you know,
Right.
you have to look this way, don't look that way, you know. I'm not gonna go too deep into it, but I know firsthand some of my relatives that were body shamed, you know, just for like, hey, you know, oh, and you know, their sayings, you know, a moment on the lips is a lifetime on the hips, and you know,
Right.
keep hearing it and hearing it. It doesn't go from, oh, okay, that's just a cliche. Now it's more like, okay, look, I already know what it's going to be. Anytime I come in here, or if I come in here with something to eat, and this person is,
Right.
I'm going to hear these words, and it doesn't go from being a cliche. Now you're badgering me. Now this is like abuse,
Yep.
PTSD, psychological.
Yep.
You know, because you're like body shaming me without saying it, you know,
Right.
up front. And I've seen that on several fronts, and it's really sad because of how these people are today in life. You know, one person doesn't want to eat too much. The other person does eat too much, and they are trying to be happy with who they are, but they're not.
Yeah.
So look, man, look, we got deep on y'all real quick. I mean, look here, look. But these are real conversations, all right? Yeah. And definitely these are conversations that really need to be had in every family, period.
Every family, yeah. And it's not only, that's why I tell you, it's not only about the Black culture, it's every culture.
This is
I emphasize the Jamaican culture because every culture deals with things differently. And I'm showing you how Jamaican cultures deal with things. You know, some people may not open about certain things because they realize that if they open up about it in their culture, they might be shamed for it. Or everybody will distance from you because you're the person that just spilled all the beans that you shouldn't have spilled that's happening in our home. Right? So there's a lot of things that this book touches on.
So no, let me just ask you though. I mean, like, what did it really take for you to write this book? Because you really like dive into these things. Like I mean, you really go there. And I know sometimes, you know, as you said before, being a shy person, you know, you have feelings, you have thoughts, you have ideas, but you know, like, are people going to believe what I'm saying? You know, is it believable? Man, am I going to offend, you know, certain people or what have you? But at the end of the day, you know, the story still has to be told. If it's not going to be told by you, it's going to be told by someone. Right.
That's honestly something I struggled with. And I will tell you, I started writing this book 8 years ago.
Really?
Yep. And I kept pausing. And I'm like, God, I can't. I can't, because I kept struggling with nonfiction or fiction. It's nonfiction, it's the truth. But I'm like, what are people gonna say? And every time I put the book down and said, I'm not gonna do it, I swear to you, God kept pulling me and saying, listen, obedience first, because I'm telling you, this book is gonna bring you here and I need you to do it for your people, right? So I'm like, why do I care about what people think? We as people relate to the raw truth. I'm not going to take advice from somebody who's never walked the journey that I've walked before, because you don't understand it. Right?
Say that one more time.
If you never lived it, how can I be like, maybe she's right, maybe I should listen to her? You've never been through it. You're just speaking off of maybe some book you read or somebody else's experiences or what you think. But if I've been through it and I'm telling you how I got through it, then you'll draw from me more, right?
Yes. Yes.
So it was a struggle, but I'm telling you, every time I stopped, God pulled me back, and he would send people. Because, for example, my book cover, I wanted my book cover to be drawn. And I said, I want somebody who will connect with the book. The person has to see the vision and connect with the book. And I reached out to 4 artists. None of them came through. One guy told me he was finished and he would mail it to me on Monday. Have not heard back from him till this day, and this was last year.
Oh, wow.
And I usually go to bed really late. So it was like 3 o'clock when I went to sleep, and I woke up at 5. And I noticed that I saw a lady add me on Instagram. She has over 7,000 followers, and she's an artist. So I sat there for a minute, and I'm like, why would somebody that has over 7,000 followers add me out of nowhere? Me. Like, why would you add me out of nowhere? And I looked at her page. Oh, amazing artist. And I reached out to her. We spoke on the phone for 2 hours. And I gave her 3 pages of my book to read. And when I say she dominated the cover, she dominated it. And she said, I don't know, but your book spoke to me. This is one of the paintings that I literally enjoyed doing. And then she also did my second book cover, just like that. And then she put me onto a lady that's doing my book cover digitally.
See?
And they're from Vancouver, like hours away from me. And then ironically, my publisher is in the same city as them.
See? Oh.
So it's like God's aligning everything, and I'm like, and he's like, listen, trust me. Trust me, do the work, and I'll do the rest. Yeah. Put in the work. Don't fear anything. The words that are coming out of your mouth, I'm gonna ordain them. Don't be afraid. So that was my biggest fear. Even coming on here, I'm like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna say? What is he gonna ask me? Sasha didn't even tell me anything. Is he gonna like? And then I was like panicking, and I'm like, God said, I got you. Trust me. Right? And like, and another. Let me tell you another incident. So it's so weird because I used to go to a church, and I stopped going 6 years ago. Okay. There's some things that happen in the church that I'm like, you know what? This is not God, because God is love. No matter who you are, what color you are, what's your sexuality, what you've done in the past, present, God is love. But the world tries to confuse and own God for themselves and tell you what God will do and who God will love and who God will hate. You don't get to do that. You don't get to dictate. God dictates what he does, right? So I stopped going for reasons that you'll see in the book also. And somebody that used to go to church reached out to me and sent me a long message on Instagram, and I read it. And one of the things he said to me was, if somebody had paid me $1 million and told me you would become nothing, I would have taken it. And I said to him, I'm not offended by what you said, because you know what that was? That was God's reassurance that everything I've been through, when you guys wanted me to stay down, God always raised me up. And I didn't need to be in church every Sunday. And I didn't need to know the Bible at the back of my hand like you guys do. He still favored me and elevated me despite what you guys wanted to happen to me. So everywhere I turn, it's like he's sending me messages and reassuring me.
Yes.
You know? So it was a struggle to write the book, but I couldn't let up. It has to come out. I need people to rise up out of their strongholds, because people are going through some things that they can't break free from. And if I found a way to break free from it, you can too. Why? Yeah. And why can't we help each other? Why are you healing and elevating, but you can't pass that on to anybody else?
That's selfish.
Of course you can, right? It's selfish. Yeah. And it's funny, like even the book, I reached out to a lot of other authors within Toronto, and they didn't want to help. It was kind of like a cultural, like, yeah, I did it. So can you give me like a little pointers? It was basically no, but indirectly no, right?
Right.
So the people that God has sent to me to put together this book, they're a lot older than me, but they are a strong tower. Like, I'm surprised, because before I was like, not to be racial, I said, I want a strong community behind me. Different races behind me. So this is about bringing unity together and teaching us how to unite, right? Yeah. But they're all white women, but they have Black sisters. And the way they loved and embraced me, I was like, oh my gosh, wow.
Sometimes in life, when we find our tribe, it's nowhere how we imagine it to be.
Right.
It's always something totally different, because in our mind, it's supposed to be this way.
Right.
But I mean, that's only because of the things we've been told, the things we've been programmed, the things we've been taught.
Exactly.
But as we go out and experience is the best it's the best teacher.
Yep.
I don't know of any better teacher than experience, so man, experience is the best teacher. But when you go out here into the world and you experience things and you do find allies in the most uncommon places,
right?
Then it's like, now everything that I've learned is starting to become challenged. Now I'm starting to challenge things that I've been taught, because man, these things that I've been taught, this old application of knowledge doesn't fit into the world that I'm living in now.
Right.
So
yeah.
So Jenelle Simpson, you own something right there now. You got these 2 books, man. People trying to, look here. Look, man, look, she's a pillar. All right? Pillar, y'all. And for those of my people who don't know what a pillar is, pillar, big, tall pillar. Like if you go to a museum, there are pillars outside the museum, man. Some are in marble, some are in stone, what have you, but pillar, solid, visible. Thank you. There it is. All right. No, but okay. So when is the book coming out? How can people get the book? Where will the book be published?
October 9th. I want to do on my birthday, October 5th, because I feel like I'm a new person and I'm not afraid, right? But
okay.
October 9th, the weekend. Hope I can throw a party that you can come to.
Man, come on, man. Well, we open it back up now. So, hey, look, you're in Toronto. I'm in Chicago. Look, I know how to get through Detroit to go to certain places.
Right? You can cut some corners, right?
Just cut a little corner here and there, But no, October 9th, people. October 9th. So, on what platforms will this be available
on? Amazon.
Okay.
In bookstores. I'm still working on it with them, but it will be available everywhere, because I'm giving up till it's everywhere. In every country, it needs to be everywhere.
Yes, it does, man. First time author, you all. Okay.
Now, there's something else I want to do. I wasn't going to do it, but I want to share it with you. The original art piece of my book cover. I was waiting to show it later on, but I think I can show it to you.
Yes, you can. Look here. We love surprises now. Okay. Now, man, come on now. Show us this beautiful art.
So, I don't know if you can see it.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Beautiful. Beautiful. Commitment of a deceitful liar. Hey, yes, I love it. I love it. And what's the artist's name again?
Patricia Sparks.
Okay. Patricia
Sparks.
Patricia Sparks.
She's amazing. She's amazing and worth
every But yes, she is amazing. That is Hey, that is beautiful. Okay. And so that's going to be on the book cover, and that's going to go to digital print as well?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Bestseller people, okay? We have to support. October 9th, Amazon. I know A good 75%.
Kindle, everywhere.
Yes. Man, Amazon, Kindle. Well, we want those hard copies and we want reviews and we want thumbs up. Okay? Good reviews, thumbs up, October 9th. Commitment to a Deceitful Liar. She just told you. Okay.
And then book 2 is coming right after. Just finishing it up now.
Book 2 is coming. Woo! So the bundle. You can get the bundle. Ladies and gentlemen, there it is. All right. Okay. Now, okay, is there a website for this, or how can people get in contact if they want to, learn more about the book, or just, learn more about
So right now it's my Instagram. We're working on the website still. Okay. So it's at @lifes_deceit.
Mm-hmm.
So LIFES_deceit. DECEIT.
Okay. All right. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Now look here. I have had a wonderful time sitting here talking to you, and we have talked and we have shared. Okay. Unfortunately, I've come to my last question. I'm kind of upset about this because it's fun. But it's a question that my show is known for, so I have to ask this question. Miss Jenelle Simpson, what is the one word that best describes you and why?
Who?
I love this part.
One word, eh?
One word. You gotta give me one.
Renewed.
Renewed. I like it. Why?
Because the old me and the me now, I'm telling you, renewed. I was renewed then and I'm renewed now. Mm-hmm. And I'm transferring my renewal to somebody else, other people. When I think about what that person said to me, they saw, like, he extended to say that he would see me leaving church literally dead, right? And I assume he said what he said was, I thought you would have offed yourself already. Renewed, because I'm renewed. This is me, and I'm continuing to flourish in my renewal.
Yes.
Because God renewed me. I'm not the same person. I'm renewed. I'm refreshed. Right? So renewed is what I am. That's who I am, renewed. And I love it.
Go 2 words for you. And then we're gonna wrap this up. I'm gonna go 2 words for you. See, it's my show. I could give I could give you 2 words. You're gonna get okay, but one word you already hit on earlier, and that's obedient. The second word I've already said before, and that's pillar. And I'm gonna tell you why. Obedient because you always stayed strong in your faith. Throughout everything that was going on, childhood to, teenage years to adulthood, always stayed firm, always stayed with the belief, okay, of something better. Not of anything negative, but of something better. So with that, I have to put the pillar. Because now everyone, is noticing. They can see you now. All right? You're strong. You're solid. People gonna try to knock you down. Okay? They're gonna try to write on you. They're gonna try to do everything in their power to defame you. Still standing. I'm still here. I'm still a pillar. You see me. That's why you're here.
Yeah.
That's why you're here. You're here because of me. I'm not here because of you. You're here because of me. I mean, everybody can see me, And it's not about vanity or whatever, but I'm obedient and I'm strong in my belief, and I'm gonna stand on that so everybody can see. Obedient pillar. All right.
Thank you.
Boom. There you go. All right. Okay.
I'm going to change my name to Obedient Pillar. Thank you.
The obedient pillar, boy. All right. No, I love it. I love it. Seriously, I have enjoyed this. And man, do not be a stranger to us. Please come back to the show. We want to see what's going on, that second book, how everything's going with the first book, when it drops, all that. Please do not be a stranger to us.
I will be messaging you soon.
Yes.
Thank you for having me.
Man,
Thank you for making me feel free. Like, I don't feel shy or anything.
What did I tell you when we first got on here? You're not going to be shy on this show. This is not a show for you to be shy. This is a show for you to talk about you. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you for this platform to do this. Because
look, you are most welcome. Okay? All right? And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, man, look, this has been Word with Ty Brownlow. I have been your host, Ty Brownlow. Remember, no one is worthless. No story is worthless. You all can follow me on social media, man, all platforms, Word with Ty Brownlow. Or, man, just do me a favor. Go to my website, tybrownlow.com. Man, like it, subscribe, do whatever else you want to do. Man, don't leave no nasty messages or whatever, because I'm going to But, man, go to the website, you're going to get wonderful interviews, plus this great interview. All right? Miss Jenelle Simpson. I thank you, Ty. Oh, you are welcome. Okay? We are out, people. Peace. Y'all have a good night.
Bye.